Donald Trump stepping up attacks on Hillary Clinton with ads like the one we just saw. But will it help the Donald in a general election, or considering the fact there's still a nomination to win, is this ad somewhat premature? Let's discuss it with our panel. Via telephone from Cincinnati, the former mayor of that great city, Ken Blackwell, currently the senior fellow for the Family Research Council. Also joining us via telephone, Democratic media strategist Franco Ripple, who's also the vice president of KateCom Public Relations. Gentlemen, thank you for this party line call, although it's a bipartisan in nature. Kenny, is this just too premature with all the deal making going on in Washington to try and stop Trump from becoming the nominee? What is your evaluation of all this feverish activity to dump Trump?
Well, I think that 1237 is the magic number. There is a fundamental belief that you either stop Trump and create a two-person race, and go into a convention with neither Trump or Cruz having the requisite number, and then you start the deal making. I think anybody who's talking about a third-party run is just whistling Dixie. It's just not going to work. Look, Trump has a problem that we've talked about before. His net worth is $4.2 billion. About 3.3 is tied up in illiquid assets. He cannot fund a general campaign against Hillary Clinton. Therefore, he is going to have to execute his book, and he's going to have to modify his behavior. He's going to have to be more inclusive in his approach.
And you mentioned that, Ken. Let me follow up, because here's what we're hearing. Sources are telling us here at Newsmax that Donald Trump is trying to build his infrastructure and organization, that Rudy Giuliani has been unofficially tapped to build the Trump kitchen cabinet of experts and advisors. How big will that be for Trump making that type of deal with the GOP, Kenny?
I think it would be a beginning of a good start. At the end of the day, though, he can put that aside and win it outright. But I think what's going to happen is that the stop Trump is going to build substantially. The 9 out of the 9 states primaries that are out there that are closed primaries where Republicans are the central voting bloc. He has underperformed, and Cruz has performed well. I
got to tell you, I cannot believe what I'm hearing. That we're talking about Rudy Giuliani being tapped as the guy who's going to lead Trump into the promised land of the White House. This is a guy who put all of his eggs in one basket. He put all of his stakes on one state, and then floundered phenomenally.
Well, but they're not calling him in. They're not calling him in to advise on how to run the campaign, Franco. He'd be in there in terms of important things like national security and how to handle things after 9/11. You remember that, Franco, when Rudy Giuliani became America's mayor? No, it didn't work in the presidential campaign, the strategy, but there's something else at work here that has a lot of Republicans very intrigued by the notion of Giuliani leading that kitchen cabinet.
That is premature. That is premature.
Hang on a second. We'll have to get a bona fide Republican, a conservative rather, there. He's going to have to move from the East Coast right now.
Yeah, but
right now it's New Jersey and New York Center, and that's not enough.
Well, understood, but he's got Jeff Sessions to lead national security. Listen, we got to go across the aisle to talk about Hillary. And Franco, I know from the times we've talked before, you're cool with Hillary pivoting to the general right now. But there are still questions about a possible indictment. Are Democrats starting to get concerned not only about that, but the prospect of Hillary having to take on a guy like Donald Trump?
Well, I think those quote-unquote questions, which really are made up by the right-wing media, are not such serious questions, and I don't think they have political implications, considering that Hillary Clinton right now has a greater delegate lead than Barack Obama did at any point during the 2008 election. She is leading Bernie Sanders by a wider margin than Barack Obama led her. She will be the nominee, and I think that's a great thing for America because she'll be a great president. So I don't think that it's too early for her, respecting the Democratic primary voters that are in states left to come. I know that the campaign is going to work very hard to win over every primary voter in Democratic primaries that have yet to come. It's a very important state. All of them very important, are still yet to vote. But given the lead that she has, I don't think that it's too soon for her to begin to turn her gaze onto the Republican frontrunner, which Republican primary voters this year have chosen to anoint so far Donald Trump. And yet the Republican elites are not having it. So I think the Republican Party is in a real morass here. They've got a real problem with a front runner that is unelectable. He's going to hurt Republicans all the way down the ticket, down to Congress, perhaps even state legislatures. And, but
well,
this is the
unfortunately, listen,
coming home to roost.
I may have to run both you guys for the Senate because we started getting filibusters right there. At any rate, Franco Ripple, our thanks to you, and Ken Blackwell, likewise. You guys were not phoning it in for sure, even though you joined us via telephone today, and we appreciate it very much. So, you heard their respective takes on what's going on with Trump and Hillary. What do you think? Why don't you send me your comments at newsmaxtv.com/comments. After the break, Obamacare failures. Stay with us.